We hope so. We've traditionally been able to place all of our law students. It's interesting, right now, the economy in the United States is creating some new challenges for us. And one of those challenges we find in legal education. We have typically been able to ensure all of our graduates receive immediate employment upon graduation. But in recent years, with the global financial crisis, law firms are not hiring at the same pace that they once were. So it's proving a little challenging. So we've had to come up with some creative ideas to ensure that we were able to place our students.
And do you see, does Georgetown has a strong alumni network, and do you see that being able to cover up?
We do. We have very strong alumni. In fact, even here in India, on Wednesday evening, had a gathering of our alumni here in Delhi, and it was just terrific. I mean, I do feel wherever we travel in the world, we're always home, because we have 150,000 alumni spread throughout the world. Right now, for example, in our student body at Georgetown, more than 130 countries are represented. Now, India is among the largest of those represented in terms of our student body. But it's a very diverse community. I think part of it is being located in Washington. It's a city that young people know, and it's a city that is just wonderful to study.
Right. And you have focused primarily on the global expansion of the university, and its outreach. So, what is the importance and value you see in doing that?
Sure. Well, it's a great question. We're trying to respond to this new set of forces that we call globalization, this convergence of new technologies and the connectedness of our economies that has an impact on all of us, including our universities. And so over the course of the last decade or so, we've tried to think through, what does globalization mean for a university? Yesterday, I had the privilege to speak at the Summit on Higher Education of FICCI here in India. And I spoke a little bit about this, about what are the responsibilities of a university as we try to cope with the challenges of globalization. So for Georgetown, it's meant that we've tried different kinds of things in different parts of the world. For example, we actually have a campus of our School of Foreign Service teaching undergraduates in Doha, an education city in Qatar. And we're trying to figure out, how do you do what we do in Washington in a different part of the world? And we're in our 7th year there. We joined 6 other American colleges who are part of Education City. All of us doing something that we're particularly focused on back in our home campus. So, for example, Cornell has one of the great medical centers in the world. While Cornell Medical at Education City was one of the schools that had committed there. And Georgetown School of Foreign Service, which we focus on in so many different ways back in Washington, we thought we might be able to do in another part of the world, and so we're experimenting right now in different ways with different projects. So in London, for example, we bring together 14 law schools from different parts of the world to study the field of transnational law practiced across national boundaries.
Okay. And Kapil Sibal, Minister of Human Resources, yesterday was inviting the foreign universities to come here and teach the students here in India. What are your thoughts on that? Yale and MIT has just been mentoring the innovation universities. How do you see the role of Georgetown in the long term?
Well, certainly the innovation universities couldn't have better mentors than MIT and Yale. These are superb institutions, and we're honored to be here to try to sort out what kind of role might be appropriate for Georgetown to play. Minister Sibal visited Georgetown last November and brought with him a number of people from the ministries here in India. And we had a half a day where we spent time together, just in a workshop, brainstorming how a place like Georgetown might be able to be of value in this effort to expand higher education opportunities here in India. This morning I had the opportunity to spend breakfast with the presidents of the with some of the Jesuit colleges here in India. And it was a wonderful experience. Georgetown was founded in 1789 as the first Catholic and Jesuit college in the United States.
Yes.
And so here we know that we have a number of our colleagues from our tradition who have been at work for more than 150 years in some places, from whom we can learn a great deal, and perhaps we can find appropriate ways to partner and to engage. We do believe that the model of partnership is the most important one. Coming this week after the visit of an American president who spoke so eloquently of the crucial nature of the partnership between the United States and India. To be here this week, it's been just extraordinarily exciting to try to understand what kind of partner can we be, what kind of partnerships can we enter into here to enhance higher education.
So what are the areas that you are looking into going forward in the long term?
Sure. Well, again, we're very much in an exploratory phase right now. But we are looking, for example, one of my colleagues on our trip is the Dean of our School of Foreign Service. And so the two of us have had some wonderful meetings over these last few days. And I do think that there's something in the nexus of what Georgetown does in international relations can be a very important point of contact for us here.
Right, and even India has a long tradition of producing civil servants.
Yes.
So it really
yeah. So just in my conversations with various colleagues over the last few days, the work that we do in international relations, in human development, in public policy, these are in business especially. There's a wide range of ideas that we're going to now try to sort through and figure out what will make the most sense in terms of the next steps in development.
And what are the opportunities and challenges you see in Indian higher education system?
Well, the most significant challenge is, I think, the greatest opportunity, and that is, as Minister Sybil has pointed out, this extraordinary need for expansion. To be able to achieve the kind of growth that he has articulated will require one of the greatest expansions in higher education history anywhere in the world. And so to do that here, we're frankly just honored to be a part of a conversation in which we're viewed to be of some value in trying to explore this idea.
So now going back to the students who aspire to go to Georgetown
Yes.
or India.
Yes. I want to encourage them to think hard about Georgetown as a place.
So then how do they go about doing it? Like what is Georgetown looking for in an international student?
Well,
and what are the students that Georgetown is producing?
Yes. Well, those are great questions. I think the most important thing to understand is that when you look at an American college or university, there are so many extraordinary institutions that the most important thing is to think about where will you be your best self and where can you do your best work. As I learned from you, you were able to find in Hartford, Connecticut, a context where you could flourish. And it was a wonderful university that enabled you to do your very best work, got you launched in a brilliant career.
Yes.
In our context, there's some important things to know about our place. We are in the city of Washington, and we reflect the city of Washington in the sense that we're a very urban university. If you came to our campus, it's a beautiful residential campus and a very, it's an exciting and beautiful neighborhood. But we're very much in the city of Washington, and we reflect the vibrancy of the federal capital of our nation. It's also the home to a number of important international institutions, perhaps the most significant being the World Bank. And when you think about the presence of the U.S. government and so many important international agencies and institutions, the opportunity to complement the extraordinary educational experience you would get with our faculty in our schools with what the city offers is a unique experience that is special about Georgetown. And that's, I think, what any student should be thinking about is where can they do their best work? Are they most comfortable in a smaller pastoral setting, a rural community, or do they like the fast pace of urban life? And if if they like Delhi, they like Washington, because there's a lot of similarities between those two cities.
Minus the traffic, I guess.
I've had a chance to experience traffic here, and I think we're a little bit less in Washington.
Yes. And what about like a lot of the Ivy League schools
Yes.
offer good financially,
Yes.
like they have good funding resources.
Yes.
Does Georgetown offer international students financially?
In very modest ways. We don't quite have the resource base of some of our peers who are able to do that. But in specific cases we can. And certainly for those who would be studying at the graduate level, particularly at the PhD level, we do provide rather significant support there. Where it varies is from the undergraduate experience, we're not able to provide the kind of financial assistance that we hope to one day. The ability to get into Georgetown is difficult. The ability to be able to cover the costs is also challenging. And we don't have quite the resources that we hope to achieve. Part of what my hope is on this visit is to get a sense of the kind of fundraising possibilities that exist here for us to raise funds to support Indian students at Georgetown.
And one last question. Moving forward, what is the role that you see of Indians in the Georgetown community?
Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how important it is for us to continue to diversify our student experience, because anybody who comes to our campus represents a very, very privileged group of people, regardless of where they come from, just by virtue of the opportunity to be with one another and to be able to study in an institution with the resource base that we have. We have extremely gifted faculty, and to be able to be with our faculty and to be with one another is really a very special experience. Well, anybody who comes out of that experience is likely to be positioned to provide real leadership in our world. And what we want to ensure is that anybody coming out of Georgetown can provide that kind of leadership. And the only way to be able to do it is to understand how to deal with diversity, how to deal with difference, how to engage across different ethnicities and different backgrounds, different religions, and to be able to foster a common understanding and work toward a common good. It's a respect for human dignity and a respect for the conditions that allow each of us to flourish. And if we can provide that on our campus, we're preparing our students for the best possible leadership. And we believe the best way to provide that is to ensure that our campus reflect the diversity of our world. And so Indian students coming to Georgetown strengthen Georgetown.
So you think that Indian students, or for that matter international students, actually are a great contribution?
Oh my goodness, I couldn't begin to tell you. They're invaluable to our ability to fulfill our purpose and our mission.
Thank you, Dr. Stoya, for your time. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being here at Braingain and doing this interview.
It's an honor to be with you, and I wish you the very best in this exciting venture.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Pleasure to be with you too.
Get it, and I will probably come and see you when I'm visiting
Please.
the U.S. in December. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Okay. All right. I've got a little bit of work I'm going to get done.
You can put me in touch with, because I would like to build some database of I would like to know about the students. At some point, would also like to interview the international community at Georgetown.
Sure, absolutely.
The South Asian students. That would be
I have a hard copy of it, but I need to make some anchors to it.
That's
but I'll email